Whenever I get to a low point where I think, why do I even bother? I just remind myself, this is where most people stop, and this is why they don't win.
And since then, for the past 33 years, I've looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something.
Nobody believes in you. You've lost again and again and again. The lights are cut off, but you're still looking at your dream, reviewing it every day and say to yourself, it's not over until I win.
Well, I'll just say I came to a place in life where I just didn't like me anymore. I looked in the mirror and I'm like, I will not spend the next 50 years with this guy like I have the last 50. I don't like me. Nobody around likes me. I can't. Catalyst just came about, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I had a small heart attack, and I knew it was a heart attack, and I was at the point, I'm not kidding, I lay there in bed, and I felt it come on, and so I had to make some decisions. What's making me like this? I need to get it out of my life. And there were people.
Building a business is hard. Hard feels shitty. This is what hard feels like. And this is why most people can't do it, but you can.
Struggle doesn't mean you're on the wrong path. It usually means you're on a real one, right? Struggle doesn't mean you're making a mistake. Struggle could mean that you have a lot to learn to get to this goal. If you give up because something's hard, it means you didn't care enough about the thing.
What had been the focus of my entire adult life was gone, and it was devastating. I really didn't know what to do for a few months. I felt that I had let the previous generation of entrepreneurs down, that I had dropped the baton as it was being passed to me. I met with David Packard and Bob Noyce and tried to apologize for screwing up so badly. I was a very public failure, and I even thought about running away from the valley. But something slowly began to dawn on me. I still loved what I did. The turn of events at Apple had not changed that one bit. I'd been rejected, but I was still in love. And so I decided to start over.
When I was 300 pounds, people think, oh, you really thought you could be a Navy SEAL? No. I think I was gonna lose the weight. But what it was how I was able to get over all the failure and all the embarrassment of failing was I told myself, you are gonna have to learn how to get up extremely fast because you are gonna have a million setbacks on this journey. And that's how I literally taught myself how to fail first.
Motivation is a feeling that comes and goes, and it doesn't matter whether it's there or not. Discipline is infinitely more important. So no matter how you feel, get up and do what you're supposed to do. That's it. And that's discipline. It's not motivation. If you only did what you were supposed to do when you were motivated to do it, that's leaving it to chance. But if you're disciplined, you go do what you're supposed to do. That's the way it works.
Never, and I mean never, let yourself play the victim. That's where you lose your power. Life is not fair, you're right. But sitting around wishing it was, sitting around all the guys flocked to you instead of your sister, sitting around wishing it was you on those European vacations, it's not going to get you anywhere. You can't change what's happening around you. And the sooner you accept that, the freer you will feel. So my advice is move on. Stop focusing on what you think is fair and trust where your life is leading you.
And you had to make different choices. And the hardest part about change is not making the same choices the day before. And that means you're going to get uncomfortable. You stop doing the same things, the same habits, sitting on the couch, whatever it was. You didn't have time to complain, that stuff.
You have to stay in that third painful place because staying in the pain is what gives you the catalyst to learn how to get out of pain. And so rather than trying to pull your parachute, it's like, I have to trudge through this so that it forces me to learn.
But what would cause even more suffering and more pain is just sitting back on my hands and not doing anything. Because now, nothing will happen for sure. And now I also have to sit with the weight on my shoulders of knowing that I'm not doing something that I'm supposed to be doing.
And it evolved into just like a no quit mentality. It's accepting these fears I have, this doubt I have, this everything that goes through my mind, but regardless of that, not quitting and not giving up on myself. No matter how hard is the time of what I'm going through and whatever shit I feel, I'm going to still put in the same work regardless of how I feel. And that's a champion mentality, because a champion's not controlled by their outside circumstances. They control their own mind inside and how they act, and then the world goes on around them.
We discovered that when you're sitting with yourself and you go past the point where you would normally stop because of your disbelief, you go past that point, that's when the brain changes the most. That's when you're stepping into the unknown.
What does that moment look like for people? Like, what is
That moment looks like I want to quit. That moment looks like I want to give up. That's the end of their emotional belief. But if you show up to be a creator in spite of those voices, in spite of the mismanagement of your attention and energy and not having enough time, or feeling, something happened in your day and it caused you to not want to create, the days that you show up anyway, and you remember that's the belief in your future.
And I remember that was one of the things, like, you're not going to break me. No matter what you say, I'll die right here in this water. I don't care. And that mindset has really been beneficial throughout the entire process. Because there's parts of BUD/S and parts of being in special operations where you think it's going to kill you. And then at a certain point, you just don't care. If it kills me, I don't care. And you get through it.
Because I know everybody ain't gonna do what I'm gonna do. So this is how you level up. That's how you level up. I know there's a whole bunch of people with that right there. That fires me up. That makes me happy, what you just said. That brings joy to my life right there.
Why?
Because I know there's so many people that have the ability and just refuse to get off that couch. Refuse to study a few more hours. Refuse to go deeper, to go further. And that's where I gain the advantage. It's so easy to be great nowadays, my friend, because most people are weak. So what's your f***ing excuse? Is it too cold where you live? Is it too hot where you live? Does it rain too f***ing much? Now it's time for some real f***ing talk. If you're allowing people and things and situations to own space in your f***ing head, you're losing. Last thing, life's one big f***ing head game. You play with yourself. If you lose, it's because you allow life to get in your f***ing head. Stay hard.
And you should be facing adversity.
You should be.
You should be facing adversity in the midst of change.
It shouldn't be easy.
It should be earned. It should be earned. It should be earned. Because that means you put your time in. And that means that this is how greatness is created, when you show up to create when you don't feel like it. When you sit with yourself and not allow your mind to go to the past and all the problems and all the things, and instruct your mind to go to that vision of the future, that's a victory.
Let me be very clear. I'll never give up. Never.
You have to believe on some level that you can hit it, and you also have to believe even more that you will die trying. And I think that your commitment has to be to the effort that you're willing to put forth, and completely divorced of the outcome.
From now on, whenever you see a barrier or wall, or you think of anything you want to do or be, you say, wait a minute here. I'm unstoppable. Nothing stops me. And you know something? You will develop yourself to the point where nothing does. Cause and effect, going right back to what we talked about. Mental attitudes and personality are determined by things that we do. And there are certain things that you can do consistently every single day, and in so doing them, you'll build your self-confidence up and up and up to the point where you become unstoppable.
That is the becoming process, and that's how you arrive at that vision. And this energy is the energy that takes you there. And you got to be able to bring that up on your own. That means you got to come out of your resting state. And that when coming out of your resting state and not allowing or waiting for someone or something to do it for you, but doing it on your own, wow, there's sovereignty and there's empowerment in that. That's how any person arrives at their dream. They just don't let their energy drop. And if they do, they get back into that state again. And they earn the belief in themselves.
I will have to limp the last mile, even if no one's watching, because I can't let the demons in. And if I let the demons in, they'll show up in the 11th round of a championship fight when there's 50,000 people watching me in the audience, and I know deep in my self-story that I'm the type of person that quits when things get hard because I got off that treadmill at mile 9 when no one was watching.